I hear location, I'm like, man, like this is tight. Like this is like, to me, like I knew he was talented and I knew he was gonna find success, but I didn't expect it to happen like so fast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it was just like from one day to the next, it was like that record was just boom everywhere.
Yeah, check it out. I'm your host, Corey Cambridge. Yeah. Everybody tuning in, you invited. No matter what mood you in, get excited. Everybody love the music, let me tell you how they do it. Whether writer or an agent, let me tell you how they made it. You are now talking to a silent giant. Wanna walk in their shoes, silent giants. Wanna study they moves, silent giants. Wanna know what they do, silent giants. Silent giants, y'all.
Welcome to the Silent Giants Podcast, a podcast highlighting the superstars behind your favorite superstars in creative industries. I'm your host, Corey Cambridge. To keep up with the latest on the show, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Silent Giants Podcast. Also, to keep up with my life, music, and more, be sure to follow me as well at Corey Cambridge. Today on the show, we have a very special guest, Mario Rangel, the silent giant and celebrity stylist for some of my favorite acts in music today, Bryson Tiller and Khalid. In this episode, Mario talks about his upbringing in LA, how his career in entertainment began as a manager, explains how he became Bryson Tiller's stylist, and the story and fashion behind Khalid's artwork for his debut breakout single, Location. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the man of the hour, the tastemaker, the stylist, my friend, the silent giant, Mario Rangel. Mario, what's up, my man? How are you, brother?
Chilling, man, out in New York for a few days, enjoying Men's Fashion Week. Just taking in the city, man, enjoying it. Yeah.
So you're based in LA? Are you living in LA now?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Okay.
You know, I was out here for a few months, spent some time in Mexico, and then went back to LA. Been in LA for a few months now.
How's life in LA, man?
You know, it's kind of gets hectic sometimes. You know, it's just like New York. You know, it's definitely not as fast paced, but you know, things get hectic sometimes. It's good to get away sometimes and enjoy different cities, different places.
You have a podcast energy.
For real?
You got that but late night.
Word.
You know, there's like
you know me, I have no filter, bro.
Well, it's like, you know, like Charlamagne or like DJ Envy may have or Dre in LA.
Word.
More of like a hype energy.
Word.
You've got that like coming next. Coming next on Smooth 105.7.
You know, that's just probably the THC in me.
Yeah. Always I think what was it? The last time I saw you, we did the interview, I was like, dude, I don't think I've ever seen you without your glasses on. Maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
It'll be like dead of night.
Yeah.
Sunglasses.
Usually my eyes are too low to have my regular glasses on, man.
Yeah, even though you still like, even with the glasses off, you don't look like.
Nah, for sure.
You still look like.
Tell me that.
Oh yeah, this is Mario.
You know, it's just this. You know, it's just who I am. You know, just be me. You know, figure out and not lose track of what I want to do at the end of the day. You know, and just be successful. Find success being myself.
Yep.
You know, I think that's the biggest thing as far as like, you know, a lot of us entrepreneurs, you know, just people trying to figure it out is you kind of lose track of yourself sometimes, you know, doing things you don't want to do. And, you know, I've definitely just been fortunate enough to surround myself with people who believe in, you know, what I like and what I want to do, you know, and it's hard sometimes to meet people that definitely understand the vision and appreciate what you think and have to bring to the plate.
For sure. No, 100%, dude. 100%. So, Mario, talk to me about, like, your upbringing. Like, are you born and raised LA?
Yeah, born and raised in the San Fernando Valley, North Hollywood. You know, come from Mexican dad, Salvadoran mom. You know, grew up, relatively pretty poor. You know, from what I can remember, you know, my parents definitely struggled at the beginning, you know, up until like maybe I was like 6, 7. Just got better jobs. Middle class, you know, raised middle class, and you can say it's like somewhat the suburbs, you know, San Fernando Valley.
Looks like LA is one big suburb.
For the most part, it's just so spread out.
Right.
It is so spread out. You know, you definitely, you know, if you drive through LA, you'll just see so much culture. You know, it's so spread out for sure. But It's a beautiful place, man.
It is.
I grew up just listening to rap music, idolizing just really the way people dress. From a young age, like I would just see, their outfits, the kicks.
And what was the fashion like in LA, like growing up? Like, what were you really into?
What I saw, like firsthand, was definitely like LA gangster, cholo, culture.
Like Bally's and Chucks
Pro Keds, especially Chucks and like Cortezes. Like the nylon Cortezes, the navy blue joints, the black joints.
Wait, Nike Air Cortez?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had a pair of them joints.
Motherfuckers used to wear them with the high white socks, the cut-off Dickies. Like, gangsters used to wear these, like, polo shirts. They used to have, like, lines that would be, like, black, white, or gray, white, or navy white, tucked in the shirts with the belts, have the whole hood on the belts.
Yeah.
The belt buckles. That was like fashion, the first hand fashion that I saw, like outside of like my immediate circle, like, my house, my uncles and shit like that. And it's definitely like culture shock. It's like you go outside and like you see all these dudes, kind of getting beat up by the cops and shit. Back then it's like cops were reckless, bro. Like really beating up people like with the batons, like going all in. Like it was just all throughout the city. This is like 91, like around the time like
Rodney King LA riots.
It was definitely going down like everywhere in the city. It was just discrimination everywhere. As long as you were colored, especially then, like people were definitely pushing the gangster culture.
Right.
That's what it was about. And I never really got into that. Like it was just always around relatives and gangs and stuff like that. But I was just like, man, the music, the fashion, sports, like that's what I was always about.
What was the music you were into growing up?
Man, my half brother really put me on a lot of stuff, like really early, like Pete Rock, CL, Big Daddy Kane, like a lot of that stuff. Like the older stuff. From that, like I just, I grew up listening to West Coast music, but I definitely had an ear for East Coast, like lyricism.
Okay.
The storytelling ability. People used to, surprise me at a young age. I was really paying attention to what people were saying. So I definitely like really, really was on like Wu-Tang, Nas, Tribe, Q-Tip, all that stuff. Like, a lot of like the native tongue movement stuff. I was just intrigued by the way they looked. I was like, yo, their haircuts look crazy. Like the tie-dye stuff, like the baggy pants, especially like when Tribe came out, like, they used to have some crazy fits,
And like the 90s had like the best kind of, I think the 70s fashion, 80s fashion, some of that stuff kind of carries on and still has a little bit of a life. But 90s fashion to this day has for some reason like still kind of stuck around more than like other eras of fashion.
Yeah, especially like in like urban culture, like hip hop culture, like you're always gonna see like the first like cool things that kind of popped off, like the Puma like b-boy look, the Adidas stuff and like the Cortezes and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely 90s culture, like just I think it was the best time to like really grow up for some reason. Like it was just.
Well, also too, I think. Like fashion-wise, it was the birth of sneaker culture.
Of course. Like just urban culture, really, man. Like there was the boom of like the Karl Kani's and the Fubus. And, and definitely urban culture had a lot to do with just like Nautica and Tommy Hilfiger and Polo and all that stuff. Like just as far as like the tension that they got off of like all these artists wearing their stuff.
The first time in fashion where there was like actual entrepreneurship amongst the community with like a Karl Kani, with the Fubu.
Yeah.
I think at the time before those brands, I think there was like
Cross Colors and there was like smaller brands that were kind of starting to pop off. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Cross Colors, the guy from Cross Colors ended up helping Karl Kani with like his distribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's his name? I saw an interview with him. I can't remember his name right now.
His name, but that dude's a legend for sure.
He's a legend.
Him,
I know Cross Colors.
Yeah, not for sure. I just can't remember his name. My bad.
No, my bad too. his name is also not in the brand, so it's kind of easy to remember Carl Kanai.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy who started Fubu's name.
Shouts to the Bill Jordan over at Cross Colors.
There we go.
I do know him, though.
And so Mario, so tell me about, how you first got into. Did you ever want to be an artist, like as far as being a rapper or a singer or producer, or did you always know you wanted to kind of be more a part of the culture, but not as an artist?
I've never really wanted to be an artist. Like, I was always the type of person to like look through the booklets, like the CD booklets, and look through the names, try to figure out who these people were behind like the scenes in a sense. So I don't know, like I was so intrigued by the back end work to create the music. At a young age, I was just like, who are these people? Who's this A&R? Like, just having the internet, like, I guess that helped, the older I got when I got into, like, middle school. I started really getting intrigued by, like, the business end. Like, I'm like, man, like, I want to be involved in the music industry. Like, who doesn't, you know what I mean? Especially being in LA. I was just fortunate enough. I started interning for a record label when I was in high school. Just going in there, just buying clothes. At the time, like, LRG was kind of starting to pop off, and they were, like, the only place you could get it at. And my friends were working there, and I was like, man, just let me work. Like, I'll pass out flyers, I'll do whatever, just, like, give me some clothes, whatever. Like, shoot me whatever you guys can. And it grew from that to me starting to work there. Like, that definitely helped me out. Like, I was like, man, like, working there, helping these people out, like, still kind of have a presence in the city. It was a great experience, especially being like 18, 19 straight out of high school. It's like, yo, like, man, like, maybe this could lead me to something else.
So, like, how did the opportunity come about from you leaving the internship to you becoming a manager?
Shortly after leaving that record store job, I started working for a production company. I started doing, like, a lot of the urban content, like music, fashion stuff, and that's how I kind of got in. The time we were doing videos with like Pac Div and Dom Kennedy, and like, it was just like, and Dahi.
Mm-hmm. No,
Dahi.
He was saying
he was
like,
definitely like around like that LA new wave crowd.
Yeah. So how did it come about that you were going to take on this role of being a manager for Toronto and Omari?
Just them seeing like what I was doing, like just kind of blogging, starting to blog pretty early, like 2007, 2008. We kind of understood how the internet was kind of like slowly transition into like, blogs, really pushing music, getting behind artists. They also had a blog, so we definitely developed a lot of the relationships really early on with a lot of the blogs that kind of took off, like Two Dope Boys, Not Right, On Smash, and they definitely helped out pushing the music and just believing in us.
Right, because how did you build those relationships?
Well, I would basically find artists for this production company throughout, I believe it was 13 or the 14 biggest markets in the country. Okay. And, I would have to dig through MySpace at the time, or like iMeme at the time, and find these artists. And, I would contact them. All these artists at the time were like, yo, free videos? Like, yeah. And like the videos were well edited. Like it wasn't like nothing crazy whack. We had a partnership with Herb Magazine at the time, so they were helping us get like artists that were starting to pop off, like Jay Electronica, B.O.B., Wale, Justice. So that definitely helped out the momentum with the company. And then when I got on board, I was like, I know all these people from L.A., New York, Boston, and Seattle. So I was like, man, if I get all these people, to get them on, do these videos, and everybody's gonna see the vision, and then want to get involved. And that kind of grew. And, Toronto and Omari, I guess, kind of saw like, damn, he kind of understands, and just started working. It was like, all right, for sure. Okay. Squad. I think that was like January of like 2008, 2009, something like that. Okay. And, I had been involved with Blue and Exile's manager while I was working at the record store, just kind of figuring out. I'm like, man, this is really what's interesting to me, like the management and type of stuff. And just fortunate enough for them to even let me be around, and so it was just like a tight-knit family, all of us, like Pac Div, Blue, Exile, Toronto, Omari, Dom was there. He was slowly kind of transitioning into like really rapping. So it was like a great time to be in LA as far as just like the scene and the energy.
Right.
The energy was so unique and like so genuine. Everybody just wanting to be around each other, just wanting to enjoy the energy everybody had to offer.
And so you're managing. So this around this time was 2008, 2009. What was the next step for you in your career? Because now you work in fashion. So how did that transition from you being a manager?
So I did like,
and were you helping the group out, Toronto and Mario out in fashion as well at this time?
Yeah. I mean, that was really early on. Like I already had relationships with a lot of brands from just, you know, I guess you could say interning with Blue and Exile and his manager, John Kim. So kind of carried those relationships over. A lot of people went to different brands and started their own brands. You know, I'd always just hit up these brands. I'm like, yo, you know, I'm working with these artists. Can I get some clothes? Maybe get some budgets, you know, some sponsorship money to get behind like videos or travel expenses or anything at the time. And, you know, that slowly developed like really good relationships between like Toronto and Omari and myself and like a lot of brands, up and coming brands that are established now. You know, just believing in what we were doing. You know what I mean?
So how did you end up building those relationships with those clothing brands? Was it based on relationships you had prior, or like, hey, like, these are some guys based here in LA?
Both.
Okay.
You know, definitely doing some cool video shoots, doing different things. You know, that I felt their energy was not. You know, they weren't from LA, so like I always wanted to make sure that we.
They're from Chicago.
Yeah, they're
That's
from
right.
Chicago.
I forget that.
So I always wanted to make sure that they represented like where they're from, still like some way, like even them like the way they would dress. Like, you know, I feel like people from Chicago dress a specific way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like some fly shit. You know, that's why like Ayo dresses like the way he dresses, like the button ups, like tucked in, like it's just like some cool laid back fly shit. So, you know, a lot of people ended up working for really big brands and just, you know, they always helped out. Sending us clothes, you know, getting us involved in like parties that they would host or stuff like that, getting them to perform. You know, it was a great time.
Let's say, for instance, for an up-and-coming artist and you want to attach yourself to a clothing brand, like what goes into the X's and O's of asking a clothing brand for money? Like how does that work?
The brand just really has to believe just the artist, you know. Definitely, there's been situations where I've approached brands about certain artists, like partnering up, and, you know, they were like, nah. And then, like, a few months later, they're like, yo, so can we do this? I'm like, nah, man. Like, you only get one chance. Like, you only get, like, one opportunity to get behind an artist, especially brands that understand, get it. You know, that's why, like, a lot of the brands that definitely helped a lot of artists, you know, they're still around if you really pay attention. That's why, like, your 10 Deep. 10 Deep was probably one of the smartest brands attaching themselves to artists and like helping them curate mixtapes. Like, so like if you pay attention, a lot of the artists that they did help kind of put on, like, they're still around, still relevant. So, you know, that time, you know, around that time, brands were definitely starting to like venture out, help put out artists, projects, and stuff like that. And, you know, it was definitely a great time to be around that, just to see all these brands like find success. You know, it was always intriguing to me because I'm like, man, like, I want to have my brand. Like, I want to have my artists like wear my shit. You know, it was a great time, like a great time in my life. Definitely learned a lot about myself. You know, I was still young. You know, I started doing that when I was like, 22?
Yeah.
You know, very young. Like, I'm like, man, I'm traveling. Like, I'm seeing so much of the country, and I'm like, man, like, this is like the time of my life. Like, as a kid, you know, you really don't think like, man, like one day, you know, I want to travel the whole country. You know, you don't think about that, especially when, you know, when you come up with not much, you know, you kind of, you know, you don't have the luxury of thinking about shit like that. You
Right.
know, you're trying to figure out how to help your parents survive, you know, working for Dope. I left with Toronto and Omari around that time. And, you know, definitely Ryan, my boy Ryan, was definitely responsible when I decided to step away from Dope. And I got the opportunity to start working with Bryson Tiller. Met him earlier in 2015.
Yeah, how the opportunity with Bryson come about? How do you get that title? Like, how does that happen to where, hey, you know what? Like, you need a stylist? I'll be a stylist.
Yeah, like
How'd that happen?
It's so weird to me because like I'm like, oh, this like I would show up to like venues and like my name would be there and be like stylist. I'm like, you're the stylist. I'm like, man, like to me, like it still doesn't resonate with me. Like I'm just like, yo, this is a bro. Like bringing in some clothes. You feel me?
Yeah.
But kind of early on, I guess you could say it was around the time he started doing this. He actually did his first shows with Travis Scott.
Because this is pre-Trap Soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is when like Doe is starting to like really catch fire outside of like SoundCloud, because you know it was buzzing on SoundCloud like I want to say as soon as it dropped, like October, like it was like November, December of 2015. When I started really catching wind of Bryson, like I heard a few remixes he did, and then I heard Sorry Not Sorry. I heard it actually through Selection.
Mm-hmm.
Selection definitely got on his wave mad early, and did some digging, found out who he was, and then, you know, a few months later I meet him. I'm like, damn, this is kind of crazy. Like, you know, putting the energy out there, you know, and finally Trap Soul dropped.
And tell me the story of meeting him for the first time.
Well, yeah, my bro Tunji, who signed him, brought him in, came in through with New Orleans Noel. It's cool, you know. Like I felt, you know, I'm very good at like reading people's energy and vibes. So, you know, he was a little bit, you know, reserved, and I was like, all right, for sure. You know, like, you mind if I get a picture of you, bro? You know, for the Instagram, for the story's Instagram, you know, we'll sure to, you know, tag you, shout you out. He's like, yeah, bro, for sure. You know, he's like covered his face, and he's like, bro, is that cool? I was like, bro, that shit looks tight, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and, you know, and then the friendship developed, you know what I mean? I would see him when he would come into town, and then Trap Soul drops. I believe Trap Soul was not hand dropped when he did his first shows with Travis Scott in L.A.
Okay.
And he needed the Black Yeezys. You know what I mean? He needed them. You know, at the time, we had to figure out how to get them. You know, I got them from my boy's shop, and
so he hits you up, was like, yo, I need
He was
I
like,
need these shoes.
Yeah, I need these these Black Yeezys. Can you get them for me by like right now? I'm trying to wear them for the show. I'm like, shit. I mean, I ain't got the money on me. I could go get them, and then we could just pull up tomorrow and like, you know, pay for them or whatever. And that's what ended up happening. And I think after that, he kind of saw like, you know, kind of had some type of juice as far as like being able to obtain just fashion shit, you know what I mean? And then I would always take him clothes, you know. I wouldn't necessarily push it on him.
Yeah.
You know, just be like, yo, these brands are sending me stuff because they know that I'm around. You know, if you fuck with it, grab some stuff. If you don't, you know. But yeah, so helping him out with that, and then he just kind of asked me, he's like, bro, like I need some help as far as like just styling stuff. Like, you down to like help me grab some stuff? I'm like, hell yeah, bro. Like I've been waiting. Mafia, like let's run it. Start hitting up all these brands, and you know, he kind of liked, I guess he liked the way that I dress, you know, the way that I put stuff together. So, you know, everybody's a little bit different. I kind of understood how he dressed and like the stuff that he was into. So like I always tried to figure out how to like still incorporate what he likes and kind of like what I like to kind of give him and find stuff that kind of merges both.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I kind of found the majority of my success, like as far as just bringing him stuff. And that's how we kind of really developed the relationship. Just, you know, me becoming, I guess, his stylist, his like go-to homie to get clothes and stuff like that. Trap Soul drops, everything starts getting crazy. I'm just like, yo, this is just to see, you know, see somebody go from like buzzing online to being a household name in like a span of like
months, 2 months,
6 months.
Yeah.
Like honestly, you know, it went from like him performing at the Roxy in October of like 2015 to like him performing at the World Turn in like March or February of 2014.
So I want to touch on a project that I'm a big fan of is Khalid's project.
Yeah.
And location. How did you come about meeting Khalid? How that opportunity come about?
I think this is around like February. My boy Nick hits me up. Like I'm on the way back from Mexico, flying back after my grandmother's death. He's like, bro, I'm gonna redirect your flight. I'm gonna bring you out to El Paso. I'm out here with Khalid, 6 Sense, the bro Tunji Ige, and the bro Hiko Memoji. He's like, shit's getting crazy. Like, you got to come out here. I need your help. Like, it's on overdrive. Like, we need to have a shoot. Everybody's going to leave town. So, you know, we're just going to spend some time with Khalid and his friends and just, you know, just go through the city, go to El Paso, see how it is.
Now, at this time, you know...
Yeah.
You know Khalid at this point.
We know each other. You know how it is. You meet artists online, and like you know, email with each other, interact through social media. We knew about each other early on. Like my boy Nick found him, like I mentioned. I think he had like 300, 400 followers, something like that, like in October of 2015. And I knew all the music he had. You know, my boy Nick kept playing me the stuff. I'm like, yo, this kid's voice is crazy, bro. Like, for him to be 17 and have these vocals, I was like, yo, like, this is some wild, crazy shit. So they start working on location in Atlanta, like, I think this is February. And I leave to Mexico when my grandmother dies, like, the beginning of March. And I link up with my bro, Tunji, who's Bryson's A&R. He used to work at Interscope. Help like get Kendrick and TD over Interscope.
Oh, I think he also manages Dai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, OG for sure, bro. So I go to his house right before I'm leaving LA to go to Mexico, and we have a brief conversation. Like, yo, who's next? I'm like, bro, this kid Khalid, he crazy. He's like, man, let me play some stuff. I played him this joint he had with the bro Ducko, called Reasons. He's like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, I told you, bro. You know, I just kind of leave him kind of like, you know, on a cliffhanger, like, all right, like, go take his music in. Like, I know you're going to do what you do, like, go through all his music. And while I'm in Mexico, they're working. And a few days before I flew out, I was flying back into the country. Nick sent me location, American Teen, like a few other tracks that they had recorded. I think Khalid, like he records like crazy. Like from what I know, like he recorded and he wrote some of them songs in like 5-10 minutes, and like laid them down. So like I kind of already understood. I was like, yo, this kid gets it. Like he's really trying to be about it. So I'm like, all right, let me come out there, man. And you know, I sent Tunji the music, and he's like, bro, I gotta sign this kid. He went crazy over location in American Teen. He was like, I gotta sign him. He's like, I gotta sign him. So I get to El Paso, we do the shoot, we do all that. Definitely trying to figure out his aesthetic. I was like, man, like to me, you sound like a folk singer from like the 70s or some shit.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And I was like, bro, like you gotta wear like denim shit, tuck your shirt in, like wear some chucks, like some turtlenecks, like some different shit, you know what I mean? And I felt like that's kind of, when people started seeing the change, you know, especially like on his images, it was just like, oh, okay, we kind of understand the vision for the music and his look. And I think that's what definitely helped him out really on, like, as far as like, you know, now, like, especially like on SoundCloud, you know, the cover is you need a tight cover in order to really stand out.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And like even just him in that picture for location is just him standing with a denim jacket, like El Paso in the back, you know, mountains and shirt tucked in. But you know, like it captures that moment. Like, you know, this is El Paso. You know, this is kind of how we look out here in a sense. You know what I mean? Like this is our steez out here. And from that on, like, man, it just went overdrive.
Because what was the story of that shoot? Like, how many days did you have to prepare?
Man, honestly, it was. I didn't really have time to prepare because I was in Mexico, like, you know, dealing with my grandmother's death, and I just happened to have. I was lucky to have a bunch of clothes that I didn't wear while I was out there. So I was like, all right, maybe, you know, we could definitely use some of this.
Wait, so you literally came out, you went to the shoot with clothes that you already had. That you just had.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
were they your outfits?
Yeah. Like, the thing is, brands send me stuff, and like usually when I pack, I always try to take stuff that's still like in the bags. It's easier to pack. I'm just throwing shit. I'm like, I don't even know how, like, whatever. Just throw whatever in my suitcase. So like, you know, I was in Mexico for like almost a month. You know, didn't really get to wear a lot of the stuff. You know, it was just kind of like more on some chill shit, family shit. I wasn't really going out or anything like that. So luckily, I had like a bunch of stuff that was still new. And to me, like, I was just like, man, like, we did that in like this short amount of time. Like, damn.
And also too, it's also really nice to know that something that happens so organically and so quickly is something that's so timeless.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I hear location, I'm like, man, like this is tight. Like this is like, to me, like I knew he was talented and I knew he was gonna find success, but I didn't expect it to happen like so fast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it was just like from one day to the next, it was like that record is just boom everywhere, and it just keeps growing.
And so, lastly, before we say goodbye, what advice do you have for folks that want to break into fashion as a fashion stylist? Like, what advice do you have? What were some mistakes that you made along the way that you would advise other folks to try to avoid?
I mean, if my advice to anybody that just wants to get into styling, fashion styling, just, music business is definitely hold yourself to a certain stature and always make sure that everybody respects you. It's like, yeah, like you might get some internships that you might not fuck with. It might make you do some crazy shit. At the end of the day, you're only going to be there for a few months. And it's like, once you're out of there, it's like, man, learn how to treat everybody around you. If you treat everybody good, everybody's going to return that same energy. And everything's going to be so easy. It's like, man, once you're at that point, it's like all you do is just like you're just plugging. You know what I mean? You're just like plugging, continuously plugging yourself and continuously growing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's probably the best advice I could give somebody, man. Just make sure you always respect yourself. For sure.
Well, Mario, man, thank you so much for being here, brother, man.
Thank you for having me.
Love you, man. It's always good. I feel like this is just like a natural thing whenever you're in town.
Yeah,
It's just like, yo, what's up?
I might have to come through and just jump in anytime.
Hey, just come through anytime, man.
Sure, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, man.